Hello, welcome back. And today I'm going to cover um, changing textures and sliding textures and stuff. Okay, first I'm going to take a box here. Let me see my texture browser here. Ugh, stupid thing. Okay, here we go. I'm going to choose no draw. And what no draw is basically the absence of anything. It is a texture that basically comes out as nothing and is typically used to save space when you finally compile it. Now, let me make this a little bit larger here. Alright. Okay. Now, I'm also going to choose, let's say if I'm going to make a simple little house out of this or something like that. I'm going to, let's say I'm going to have half timber. That's a good typical texture here. Okay. Now I'm gonna see this right here. It's blue and green. This is one of the displacement tools. Basically, it allows you to click on multiple sides or multiple faces of a brush and change their texture. With this tool, you can also create what's called a displacement, which I'll get into probably in a later video. It's a little bit advanced for at this level. But anyways, works kind of similar to how you'd select multiple objects. You click and each side will turn into a different color. You can also select multiple sides by holding control click, 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 click. Okay, so I'm going to do these two sides first. Actually, I guess I'll do all of them at once. Hold on a moment. Okay, then you hit this current texture, which is no draw. We're going to click on that and go down to the one I've selected, half timber, apply, and whoa, here we go. However, all the textures in your map are synchronized with what's called the origin of the level, which is this little like green, red, and blue, I don't know, shape thingy. That's the origin. That's where the whole map begins on the coordinate plane. And all textures are organized with that, are set up to, are synchronized with that. Now, since this texture is kind of messed up, see, kind of like it starts halfway, up the, like the base starts. I don't know how to explain it, but basically, if you want to move a texture around, okay, on this little this window here, we're gonna see how you can hit this like the texture scale to change the size of it or whatever have you, or you can also slide it by texture shift. Just basically click and hold, or you can type in that little plane right here how far you want to move it. Now, I guess it doesn't really matter about the X. X is horizontal and Y is vertical. So let's just this is right here. This is the base of the texture, or actually is the top. I don't know. Yeah, actually this is the top. This piece of wood right here. So I'm going to actually wait. Let me move it the other way. Just basically, I'm just going to click and drag it and see the texture just slowly moves up. Eventually it speeds up. Like if you notice it's starting to pick up speed there. But okay, there we go. Now it's nice all the way around. Let me see if it. Yeah, okay, it's pretty good. Now there you go. Now I left the top no draw because the player is unable to see that. And a good practice of map making is basically making any side or face that a player cannot see, you should make it no draw, because it just ultimately saves processing speed, power, and it just saves space in the map. Like it just is physically smaller to download. Oh, another very important thing I forgot to mention in the last video. I meant to say this in the last video, but if you're trying to move something, as you can see with this object right here, this info player start, when I move it around, it's very blocky and not very fluid-like. If you want to change the grid size, you can either go up here, this little plus and minus next to the grid, and you can make it smaller or larger. And as you can see, it becomes a lot more fluid when I try to move things around. Alternatively, you can use the two bracket keys on your keyboard to make the grids larger or smaller. I like doing it that way. It's sometimes faster. I guess it depends. But yeah, that's one very, very useful thing to do. Otherwise, you'd be making the whole level on whatever default that scale was. I think it's like 64 or something. But yeah, there's my little building. Now, if you wanted to create, let's say if I wanted to make this entire block right here the same texture, instead of clicking on every single side, you can just click on the object that you have, that you want to change the texture to, and I'm just going to select a new texture. Let's make it metal. Let me find a somewhat good metal. Here we go. Now I'm just going to hit this button, and whoop-de-doo, all the sides are now the same texture. What do you know? Now, I think very quickly I'm going to change all these back to no draws, because if you noticed on the last video, I didn't change the outside of the map to no draws. So if I'm going to save some space, I'm going to change all those to no draws. Plump. And then I'm going to hit that, and there, now they're all no draws. Now I'm going to change this back to the grass it was. I'm going to change these walls back to, oops, there we go, back to the stone I had. There, now it should technically save space when you compile it. Oh, another very interesting thing I'm going to point out in this video. Let me just save it here. I'm going to get into the carving tool. Now, a lot of professional mappers really do not, are against the carving tool. And I've had some pretty interesting experiences with it too, as in it just pretty much ends up corrupting your the map that you have, because I don't know. It's basically evil, I guess, but you can still use it to an extent. However, you cannot carve very complex objects. But let's say if I just want to cut this block, let's make a little, maybe I'll make a ramp out of it or something. Okay, basically click on the carving tool. Now the object that you've highlighted will will look different. It will no longer have the boxes around it. Okay, I'm going to go to carve. Now I'm just going to basically click and drag and a point. And as you can see on the graph, one half is white and the other half is red. The red half will be deleted and the white half will be kept. However, if you wanted to, like, depending on your scenario, of whatever you're making, if you want to make like a, I don't know how to explain it, but well, let's say if you wanted to keep the other edge instead of it being deleted, like if I hit enter right now, it deletes it. Now let me undo that. Okay. Let's say if I want to keep both sides, you can hit the button again, and you'll see on the grid right here it alternates, and eventually if you click it enough they'll both stay white and you'll keep both parts, which is kind of useful, because now I'm going to steal this and I'm going to rotate it around. Let me do 180, and then I'm trying to remember which plane. I think I do this one. Yeah, there we go. Now I have a duplicate of that grid. Or that, not the grid, but the ramp I just made. I have two ramps. And I'm going to rotate this again, just for the plain old heck of it. Oops, I don't want that. Let's go to transform. Once again, I go to tools, transform, and then here to do a rotation. I'm going to rotate this, I think I could do negative. Yeah, there we go, negative 90. Here we go. A ramp. Hooray, I'm making ramps for no reason. Okay, there I have two little ramps. Another thing you can do, instead of using that tool, you can use what's called the Vertex Tool, which basically you can grab each vertex and you'll see on your camera screen it changes, changes colors, and you can either click and drag on here, which is almost impossible to use, and it usually F's up. Basically, okay, let's click that again, and instead of using the carving tool, you can just move things around like this, and to confirm it, you just click back to your selector, and it'll change to whatever thing you wanted to. But you can also select corners. However, this probably isn't a very good shape to show this off on. But you can grab individual corners and move them around. However, this particular shape, I believe, will not work in Steam. When you compile it, it'll totally mess up. But it works better on, you know, rectangular shapes instead of these wedge shapes I made. But yeah, that's the gist behind that particular tool. And that's actually all I'm going to do for today. Next time, I'm going to cover I think a flag. I'll do a flag. How about that? See you next time.